You're listening to Counterclockwise, where we decide the best of unimportant categories. How are you over there, sir?
I'm feeling nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
Yeah. So, do you remember Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Is that even a question? I think about that like once a month.
Yeah? See, I'm glad you said that
Yeah.
because I got an itch for it the other day. And I was on Steam, just like searching, and I didn't want to pay $20 for it.
Yeah.
I probably will eventually. But I was like, I wonder if there's an app for it.
Yeah.
Found it on my phone. And I'm a week in, and I think my park is valued at like $20 million already because I have not stopped playing. Like my phone drains all day at work.
Oh yeah,
because that's
you're
all I'm
like
doing.
12% by the time you leave.
Yeah, because you gotta like earn cards to get buildings and shit like that. And dude, I spent like 4 days just trying to get an extra bathroom in that damn place because I couldn't get a bathroom card. And all my guests were bitching about it, they're bitching about the janitors not doing their job. And it's like, what do you want me to do here?
There's just trash everywhere.
There really was. It was pretty bad. And I got to build my first roller coaster. I put 2 loops in it, and I felt very accomplished, and it just brought me back.
Yeah.
And now I want to buy Zoo Tycoon and put the dinosaurs in the park.
Yeah.
Remember Zoo Tycoon 2? Yeah. I wish I was like 15 again. I think about that a lot.
Yeah. My beef with Roller Coaster Tycoon was always that I always wanted to build like big, cool, fun roller coasters. And like you'd build one that was like more than 12 feet tall. And they were like, oh no, that's too scary for me.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Even you just build like whatever the biggest one that they give you, the biggest template they give you. It's like, okay, this ought to be fine. No, even those are too big. Come on. What, I got a bunch of 5-year-olds coming to my park?
Every time I had a customer bitch that something was made them too sick, I'm like, all right, you want to see sick? I'm going to build a roller coaster where I launch you into the fucking lake. All right?
Yeah.
Bet you're not going to be sick anymore, you little dead ass bitch.
Yeah. You got to have the park that's like adjacent to yours and then just launch them into there and just so their numbers start tanking.
Yeah.
Because they get the death over on their property.
You got to play the system. Yeah.
Not my problem.
Yeah.
Just going to launch you into Timbuktu over there.
Yeah. No, so that's been my week.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the South Park episode, the Canadians created a Terrence and Phillip game.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like you got to click coins, and then in order to click more coins, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And like Stan gets addicted to it, and he starts paying. He charges like thousands of dollars to his dad's credit card and shit. And then finally, Satan is the one to like help him figure it out. Like it's just. I feel like I might need Satan to like come over my shoulder and be like, "Hey, you might be spending a little too much time building hypothetical roller coasters here. Like, let's calm down for a minute."
Yeah, probably don't need to get a second game with animals to continue draining your brain here. Do they have? Is there a Zoo Tycoon mobile game?
So I did look it up. There was something. It wasn't called Zoo Tycoon, but there was something similar to that. And
like Zoo Pycoon. Something like that.
Something weird, yeah. And basically, you're the zookeeper, and you just walk around the park, and you like.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but the problem was, I mean, the ads were so bad. Like in the Roller Coaster Tycoon one,
some of those are so terrible.
There's ads, but you only watch ads if you want to like use that instead of coins or whatever.
Yeah.
So I can deal with that, but no, it was like every 30 seconds.
Oh, those are terrible.
Yeah, and it's like
that's like it's like a bad game, and they just want to get as much ad revenue as possible before people realize how bad the game is.
Yeah, so I got a horse exhibit and a penguin exhibit done before I was like, I'm done.
Horses?
Yeah.
Horses and penguins.
That's the starter pack. They just start you off with horses for no reason in a zoo.
I guess it's a petting zoo. You got to start out small.
Maybe it's just wild horses. Maybe that's what it was. But because it wasn't zebras or those like weird hybrid horse things you see at the zoo or whatever the fuck they are.
Hybrid horses.
I don't know. I don't know what they're called. They're like they look like a horse, but they also look like a zebra kind of. But then like I don't know. It's
the ones with like the stripy butt.
Yeah,
those aren't horses, but yeah.
But you know what I mean. Yeah, they're not horses.
Okapi, I think.
Something like
called.
Yeah. But it's just like a brown horse.
Just a couple of
That's
ponies. Are they strapped to like a metal thing that spins in a circle? No.
But you gotta like buy toys for them so they keep themselves entertained and
horse toys.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then I got the penguins because Mom.
Yeah, of course.
Mom loves the penguins, and I was like,
that would be a perfect zoo for her. Horses and
I know,
penguins.
I know, and I was like, I'm doing this for Mom.
Yeah,
she would love this exhibit.
The Mom Zoo, just 18 penguin exhibits and like 12 horse exhibits. Just all different kinds of horses. Just all of them. Here's your tall horses. Here's your short horses. We don't even. That's all you need.
Yep.
Couple of ponies in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Some draft horses over here. Got them all. Anyway,
the special attraction, Clydesdales. Just
yeah. They're just there for like a temporary thing.
Yeah.
They're here on a.
Remember
like
when
a
they
residency.
Remember when they were here in Tiffin randomly?
The Clydesdales.
Yeah. It was random.
They were like in a parade, weren't they?
Yeah.
I feel like that's like what they do. It's just their contract. We come to town, you put a parade on.
Yep.
Anyway, the snake banisher across the table from me is my favorite brother, Brandon Wise. I'm Tyler Wise, and up next, my name's not Rick! Famous Patrick's coming up in about 23 seconds. That's a good starting word.
When I edit the podcast, the amount of and so's I have to take out is crazy to me. We could make a full podcast episode of just us saying those 3 words.
Yeah. The thing that I always noticed when I was editing is that I would say so and then pause for 45 seconds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least I'm pausing. At least I'm not saying so and then rolling into something else. I just got really close to the microphone.
I can tell where your ums are before they come because there's a very distinct shape your ums are when I'm editing.
Yeah, and then the amount of pause before and after is usually about the same.
Your ums are easy to edit. Mine are not because a lot of times I'll say and immediately start talking. So
yeah.
I can't edit that out because I'll edit some of the next word out.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds edited.
I notice a lot of times we'll start with and then we'll think about what we're going to say, and then we'll say again.
Yeah.
And then we figure it out, or we'll say 4 uhs in a row, and then we start. That's where it's bad.
My 2 main problems when I've edited are I say so many fucking times. It's crazy how many times I say and then my stuttering is so bad. I don't notice it when we're talking. And then when I'm listening, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm stroking out. It sounds like I'm having a stroke half the time when I'm editing. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Am I okay?
Yeah.
I'm genuinely worried about me when I'm editing. What the fuck?
I think it's specifically when you're listening back, because I also don't really notice it in person.
Yeah.
When you're talking, sometimes I will if it's a really bad one, but yeah, usually in person I don't notice it. But when I'll listen back to the episode, I'm like, man, that was a bad one. Man, that was another. Bad one.
I'll try. I try to make a point while you're still talking a lot.
Yeah,
and I can't edit that out because I can, but I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, it's hard to break it up because we're both talking.
Yeah, so I don't worry about it. But I've been trying to wait till you finish your point, but I'm always afraid of forgetting what my point's going to be by the time you finish.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, same thing. I want to get it out before I forget what I'm going to say. But anyway, what I was going to start the episode with, which I figure we'll probably just leave all that in there. But last couple of weeks I've been watching MLB Network on TV at work.
You too?
Instead of NFL Network. Yeah. It's spring training. I'm gearing up for baseball season.
I'm so ready, man. You have I don't know what it is. I'm more excited than I think I've been in a long time, but I fully expect to be severely let down.
That's what I'm fearing.
You know what I mean?
I'm really excited because of the way the season ended last season.
I looked at our starting rotation and I'm like, womp womp.
Yeah. Oof.
It's not great.
It's a big fat.
Until Bieber comes back,
yeah.
It's not great.
That's the problem, is that it's pretty much the whole lineup, too, is like you got a couple of rocks and then a whole bunch of like, man, if this guy can really do yada yada, it's going to be great. But it's a whole lot of that. Juan and Jose and 7 other guys, you're like, maybe.
I don't think the offense will take that much of a step back. Maybe a little bit.
There's a lot of guys that I think have like a pretty high floor, I think.
Yeah, and there's enough prospects out there to be excited about.
Yeah.
It's just the pitching, man. I mean, the bullpen I think is going to be lights out again, obviously, but that starting rotation, man. I don't think we're going to get the same lively we got.
No, and that was just kind of a matter of time.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody expected him to have this season. Nobody expected him to have the season he had.
I expect Bibee,
let alone to have multiple.
I expect Bibee to be
Bibee's going to be an ace. Yeah.
I think Gavin will be better than he was last year.
Having a full season, like starting when everybody else starts, having a full spring training, I think he's going to be back to what we expect of him.
I'm cautiously optimistic Tristan will come back to form a little bit.
Yeah.
And who's our fourth guy?
Ortiz.
Oh, Ortiz. Yeah, I'm excited about Ortiz.
Yeah, he should be good. He's struggled so far in spring training.
There's just a lot of question marks. That's what worries me.
That's the thing. It's like, and that's what it is. It's like you go pretty much all the way through the list, and you got like we said, like we got Bibee. The rest of the 4, whoever ends up filling out that rotation, it's like this guy could be really good if he, is what we expect him to be. But it's like a big fat if. Same thing with the lineup too.
Just stay relevant enough to get Bieber back. That's all I'm asking for. Yeah. And I don't even know if Bieber will be Bieber. Who knows?
Who knows?
You have no idea. That. I mean, it's
half a season.
It's just such a bummer because last year Bieber looked he was back to being Shane Bieber, man. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, Tommy John, and it just makes you think. If we had Bieber in the playoffs,
Oh my, yeah. Can you imagine?
We probably don't win the World Series.
Yeah.
But I think we at least take the Yankee series to 7.
Yeah. I mean, look how close all of those games were.
Yeah.
If they played 8 innings of baseball in that whole series,
I know it 9, really was the 9th inning every game. Yeah. And
it was so close up until like the last 2 innings of the game, and it was
Maybe if they face him again, maybe they'll not pitch to Giancarlo Stanton.
Yes, the guy that is that's his whole job is to go up there and hit fucking nukes every time.
Just Tank City, man, like piss missile.
That guy is just.
Oh my god,
he's like 102% muscle. Like maybe let's not throw him a meatball down the middle. God.
Yeah.
But the Yankees are not going to have nearly the lineup they had last year.
No,
so.
I'm so excited, man. We're going to Chicago this year to watch him play. I think we're going to go to more Cleveland games. I want to go to Cincinnati and catch them down there.
Yeah.
Maybe Detroit.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see about that.
For a day game.
Yeah. For a day Sunday game. Nobody's going to murder me on Jesus' day.
there you go. All the atheists are out. They're running the streets on Sunday. But what I was gonna say, the anecdote I wanted to bring up about baseball season is at work on our like ordering system at work. I was entering something when I had to put like labor hours in.
Yeah. And
it abbreviates hours as HR. But the other day I was looking at it and my brain immediately thought home run.
Yeah,
I'm like,
course.
What? Home runs?
That's what I do. Yep.
Yeah, I've been looking at too many stats lines,
Oh my god, man. I'm such a baseball nerd. I love it. I live yeah. Anyways, I keep hijacking your conversation. What's your point?
That was it. That's all. I just wanted to say that because I thought it was funny when I was like looking at the home runs. What? I'm like, oh wait, I'm at work.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at Baseball Reference.
Like I still don't really understand some of the advanced metrics.
Oh, most of those go over my head, but
like I'm trying to study them and I'm trying to understand them more because I don't want to be like, your nerds are taking over the baseball over the game. It's like, hey, fuck you, man. Like the game's evolving, and sorry, your dry, crusty old ass can't handle it. Yeah. Like go to Bob Evans, and eat your dinner. All right. Yeah. I promise baseball will be fine.
Yeah. Go get a farmer's omelet and have a good night. Go to bed.
I mean, go sit on the bench at Cracker Barrel and bitch about it. I don't know. I don't know what you want from me.
Get some chicken and dumplings. So when are we releasing? Are we releasing this? This is like the Sunday before St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it's like the 16th or something. Yeah, is that Sunday?
Yeah, it's gonna. I think it's like a day or two before.
Yeah. So as per theme, we've been doing a lot of themed episodes.
It's been a lot
of like some of them. This one's like kind of close. Yeah. At least we didn't do like best green things or something stupid like that. I don't know. This one's like only kind of related, but St. Patrick's Day, we're going to do famous Patricks.
The thing you did with your arms, what the fuck was that?
Every once in a while, I wish we were doing this on video, but only like certain clips. Like, especially when we get really animated, because I like to talk with my hands. We both kind of do.
Yeah, it would be nice to do that and actually post something on our TikTok page.
Yeah, we keep advertising. We're on TikTok.
And we have no videos. Yeah. We need a social media manager bad.
Oh, absolutely.
Bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. Neither of us are good at we're both like casual observers of social media. That's it.
Just in case anybody else in this house is listening, we need a social media manager.
Yeah. It probably doesn't help that we don't like live nearby each other, so we can't just like pop in and talk about the podcast. Like we could call each other, but like nobody does that.
Yeah, no.
Who's calling?
We're brothers. Fuck that. We'll just casually text each other for no reason about the Baltimore Orioles uniforms and how shitty they are. Like,
yeah. They did like a promo of that today where they were unveiling them on the network. It's not good.
We have to stop this.
Yeah.
It's starting to become an epidemic. I'm tired of looking at Little League uniforms.
Yeah. The all-color uniforms.
Can we grow up a minute?
It doesn't work for baseball.
I'm so glad when Cleveland did their City Connect jerseys, they didn't go blue pants.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
I was expecting it.
So was I.
Yeah. I feel like at least the like national media-wise, just about everybody loved the Cleveland City Connects.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody thought they were really sharp because it's, not a huge digression from their normal uniforms.
Yeah.
And like similar color scheme, they just made everything darker basically. And then like the bright white that really makes everything pop.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of like a classic look, but also pretty modern with like the texture and the thing. And I feel like they did it really well.
Yeah.
Probably top 5 maybe of the City Connects.
It's easy.
So you'd think more teams would be looking at that and say, oh, that's what people like. This is like a good look.
No, let's get colored pants because
let's look like the freaking Syracuse mascot.
Come on, man.
What are we doing?
The City Connect is easily my favorite jersey in my wardrobe right now.
Mine too.
And I have several hockey jerseys that I love.
Oh, the hockey jerseys are cool.
The Slapshot and the Mighty Ducks one.
Yeah.
I love those jerseys. Yeah. And I have a Columbus Blue Jackets reverse retro one that our mom got us.
Oh, yeah.
Or got me, not us.
Yeah, me too. I share it. We have shared custody for some reason.
She got that for me for Christmas a couple years ago, and yeah, I love that one too. But the Guardians City Connect is easily top.
It was weird. A lot of times it's kind of the other way around, where I like something immediately, especially something new. It's like, ooh, that looks nice, and then I look at it longer, and I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe I don't like this as much. But that one was kind of the opposite. When I first saw him, I'm like, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And then the more I looked at it, I'm like, actually, this does look cool. And then like I saw him playing in them or like out in like the sunlight actually on the field. I'm like, man, those look freaking cool.
I can't, man.
Those look good.
Yeah, you're not
They're
wrong.
just weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, none of that is relevant to famous Patricks.
To the topic at hand.
I do have at least one baseball player. I do too. List. I can't remember if there's another one. I think there's at least one.
It's probably the same player, but
any famous Cleveland baseball Patricks? I don't think so.
Not that I can think of now.
But you want to give me? What do we start with? Nominees? Now I'm forgetting. The
nominees. But what we should mention, we are including fictional characters.
Yes, any famous Patrick out there ever, and we're going to include. We talked about this today while we were supposed to be working.
Yeah.
that we're going to be including Pats too, but it has to be short for Patrick.
Yeah, not Patricia.
Not Patricia. Yeah. There's one I have that's kind of a gray area, but I'll explain it. But we'll get there when we get there.
You could include Patty, but I don't know if that's short for Patrick. There's a Patty Mills. He's an NBA player. He's from Australia.
Ooh, okay.
But I don't think that's short for Patrick.
I just looked it up. It is Paddock.
Is it Patrick?
It's Paddock, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Patrick.
There is
Mills.
a Chris Paddock. He's a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so you could include him, but I mean, I don't.
Yeah, he's not really gonna make it.
No. All right. My nominees.
Go ahead.
All right. I got 9. No,
I think I ended up with 9. Too.
No, I got 10. I'm sorry. I don't care.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm doing 10. All right. I got Patrick Stewart.
Naturally.
Patrick Swayze. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Dempsey. Pat Tillman. Pat Patterson.
Patterson, all right.
Pat Sajak. Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry made the list.
He did. Pat McAfee and Patrick Starr.
All righty. So I think the only ones we didn't have in common were Patterson, Tillman, and Patrick Henry. I didn't have those 3. Oh, St. Patrick. I didn't know if we were. Do we include him? Is he kind of the honorary? Do we not include him?
I feel like he's kind of the logo of the episode.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like when we did the horror weapons where we eliminate the big 3.
Yeah.
So like maybe we exclude St. Patrick here, but I feel like he's a pretty iconic Patrick though. Patron saint of Ireland. He's got a whole country to himself and part of another country. I don't know if they count because they're Anglican or whatever they are. Doesn't matter. I'm spiraling into geography and religions but something's got to be said. You should really like him too because he banished snakes from Ireland. He's your boy.
Yeah, it's my man.
Banishing those reptiles.
Pickles, we're coming for you next, bitch.
All of the long green things.
Yeah.
We're getting them out.
Dude, I had to do so many picklebacks last weekend. Oh my God. I wanted to die. I don't know how many people are like, I want a pickleback. I'm like,
you should start charging people. Like, if you want me to make it, it's an extra $5.
I probably could. They wouldn't know. They're drunk enough. I could just charge them extra on their bill. The Brandon tax.
Yeah. Call it like a hazard pay or something.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Yeah.
And then,
I'm risking my life for your pickleback shot.
My health is at stake. I'm about to hurl behind the counter here. So the only other one I had that you didn't mention was Pat Morita.
Oh yeah, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, played Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
That was the one that I said was kind of a gray area because it's not technically short for Patrick, but I read the story for why he called himself Pat Morita because that's a stage name. I guess like when he was younger, he is going to sound bad, but he befriended a priest who was like a visiting priest to like wherever he was living at the time. And the priest said, if you ever converted to Catholicism, you know how Catholics you'll have like a Catholic name or like a saint name or whatever that you take. The priest said he would rename him Patrick Aloysius Ignatius Xavier Noriyuki Morita. So he's like, I'm going to take Patrick, shorten it to Pat. That's going to be my stage name, Pat Morita.
I like how priests just have this hypothetical power over people. If you believe in the thing that I believe in, I'll just fucking change your name because I can.
That is a weird practice. I don't know why we do that.
That's strange.
I think in this case it was just a joke because he gave him like 40 names instead of just one. But why do Catholics do that? Is that a common thing in other religions? Man. I don't know. I know Catholics because I had to do it.
I'm not trying to shit on anything, but why do Catholics do half the things they do?
That is true. There's a lot of weird traditions and rituals and stuff,
and it's whatever. But
that's strange.
Don't need to get into it. But
the name thing is just weird to me. Yeah. And then like, I know we had like confirmation names. I know that's what we did when we were confirmed in the faith or whatever. We had to take a saint name.
Do you remember what yours was?
Francis.
I don't remember what mine was.
Yeah.
Mom, when you listen to this, please just text me what mine was because I'm sure you remember.
Did you just like pick a cool name? That seems like something you would do.
Probably.
I'm going to pick like Xavier or something just because it sounds cool.
Maybe. I know Mom will remember. She probably has it framed. She probably has it framed somewhere. Who knows?
Yeah. Probably had it engraved on something, and you were like, "Oh, where's the?" You just toss it. Yeah. No money in this card. Get out of here.
No money, no problems.
Real quick, first one on my list was Patrick Starr. I had Mahomes, Swayze, Dempsey, Stewart, and McAfee. Oh, and Sajak. Those are the ones we had in common. And then, I had Marita, and then Saint. But I think we're going to exclude Saint, since he's the namesake of the episode. So we'll probably exclude him. But yeah, that's it. We will come back here in a second. Get our honorable mentions. It's a big list. We'll have to run through them pretty quick, and then we'll narrow down these nominees. Figure out who's the best. Okay, we're back, and we got some honorable mentions here. So we're gonna run through these as quick as possible, but everybody who listens to this show knows that just never happens. We'll do our best. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll run through mine as quick as I can without stalling like I'm currently doing. Anyways, first I got is Pat Smear from Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters, okay.
Guitarist from Foo Fighters. I got Patrick Waugh.
Over 2 already. Jesus, I don't know who any of these guys. I mean, I don't know the name of the Foo Fighters
guy. So Patrick Waugh, it's spelled R-O-Y, so it looks like Patrick Roy, but it's pronounced Waugh because he's like French Canadian.
Who is this person?
He is a Hall of Fame goalie for the Colorado Avalanche.
Do you want to try that one again?
See, I tell you, I have a stroke when we record every single time.
You put the mic in front of you, and suddenly your mouth stops working.
He is a Hall of Fame goalie from the Colorado Avalanche.
There you go. Nailed it that time.
I had to really think about what I was saying, and not just I got Patrick Warburton.
Nice, yeah.
Famously plays Joe in Family Guy.
Among many other things.
Yeah.
He was the voice of Kronk.
Yeah.
A classic entry in the counterclockwise here. Emperor's New Groove. He was in the New Groove, whatever that is. He was in B-Movie.
Such a recognizable voice, man.
Oh, yeah. He's one of those guys that if you don't know his name, you definitely know his voice. And you probably know his face, too. He's got a very unique, he's got that squinty look that he always has.
It's like John H. Benjamin.
Oh, yeah. That's a very good example where you know his voice because he plays all kinds of things. He's voiced so many characters, but he's got a very particular voice,
and when you see what he looks like, you're like, there's no way that voice comes out of that human being. That's crazy to me.
You watch him talk in that voice, and you're like,
yeah.
I still don't
When he was a
it.
lawyer in Parks and Rec, I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Huh? Anyways, moving on. I've got Patrick Ewing.
That was one of the ones that was hard to cut.
I know.
How is he not
at
the top of this list? But there's so many other Patricks.
You have him as your nominee, but I had Pat Morita.
Mm-hmm.
That was tough. I have Pat Summerall.
Yep.
I have Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, fictional character.
Yeah. It's funny that Christian Bale plays American Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not American.
Right. But he nails that role. Let's just say that. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Okay. Pat Riley.
He's a coach.
He was, but he's like the head of basketball operations for the Miami Heat now.
Oh, okay.
But he used to coach. He used to play.
Gotcha.
Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
He was key in getting LeBron to come to Miami, basically.
Okay.
I got Patrick Wilson, the actor.
Yep.
I have Patrick Kane. He's another hockey player.
There were a lot of hockey players I saw when I was making this list, yeah.
And I'm sure the baseball player you were thinking of, you had mentioned earlier, Patrick Sandoval.
Oh, no, it was not.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The Panda.
Kung Fu Panda. That was his nickname, Kung Fu Panda. Yeah. And I'm just going to mention these two.
My guy's a little older than that, I think.
I'm going to mention these two. They're not on my honorable mentions. They were on my chopping block. One was Patrick Duffy. He was the dad in Step by Step.
Yeah, he's on Dallas.
Yeah. And then Pat Fitzgerald. He was the Northwestern head coach.
I saw his name too when I was making my list. Yeah, you mentioned a lot of the ones I had too. See anybody you didn't mention? Patrick Renna. He played Ham in The Sandlot.
Okay, all right.
The great Hambino.
Yep.
Who recently wrote a book, which I think is cool. It's a kids baseball like life lessons kind of book. So he's been on like the media circuit lately.
He's really embraced his role.
Yeah,
like
really.
I mean, he never not did.
Yeah,
but he just like accepted that was going to be what he's known for, and that's cool because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people hate being known for one thing, and he just is like, "This is what I am."
He's about the only well-adjusted cast member from that movie.
Yeah.
The rest of the cast, rough track record there. Yeah. But he was just kind of like solid for the rest of his life. He's like on TikTok now doing stuff.
He was like a B+ player his whole career, which is it's just fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's great. Yeah. A lot of people would kill for that kind of a career, honestly. So props to him. I actually didn't know his name until recently when he was on that media circuit.
I've seen his name a million times. Every time I've like
never registers,
but it just never.
It's Ham.
Yeah, it never stayed in my brain. It's like, oh, that's his name. Okay, and then like a month later, I'm like, oh, that's his name. Yeah.
It probably doesn't help that he just looks like a taller version of Ham.
He aged perfectly
literally just
because
looks exactly like he did when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Just older.
Yeah. If they were just to like redo Sandlot, you could just have him still be the new Ham.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, I had, that was a whole lot of noises there. Now I'm like super conscious of them, but only after, of course. I can't stop myself from doing it, but I can recognize them when they happen.
That's okay.
Patrick Stump, lead singer of Fall Out Boy.
Yeah. Okay. I consider him too.
Yeah. For a certain cross section of the population, he's probably like 1 or 2.
Well, he had an elite run back in the early 2000s. I mean, Fall Out Boy was like the shit back then.
I mean, they're still super popular.
Oh, they are
for that for that crowd.
Yeah,
that
but
generation.
Like they peaked back in 2005 or whatever, but
they were definitely the hottest ticket.
Sugar,
for a while.
We're going down swinging.
I only included him because
a loaded gun complex. Cock it and pull it. Boom, 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 boom.
You got it out out of your system. So, I only included this guy because part of my process, a little peek behind the curtain here. A second peek behind the curtain. You just like randomly, quietly leaned very far away from your microphone for a second there.
Well, I was trying to let you finish your point without interrupting you, and apparently I still did anyways. So here we go.
It was distracting.
I'm sorry. I was trying to
look like you're like ducking out of the way.
I was trying to be courteous. Okay.
Okay. So part of my process here was I'll just type Patrick into Google, and first of all, I just see what comes up when I type in Patrick.
Sure.
And then I like to go letter by letter. So I'll go Patrick A. Any Patrick A's suggested? No. Patrick B. And then I get Patrick Bateman. I was like, okay, cool. Write down Patrick Bateman. And then I just kind of go through because I can never remember all of them. That makes sure I get all of the ones that I've forgotten. Anyway, one of the first ones that came up, which I was surprised by when I just typed in Patrick Schwarzenegger, Arnold's son.
Yeah.
Who's in a whole bunch of crap lately.
He is really in a lot.
I didn't realize he was up, but not anything that I've ever watched, but he's super popular right now, apparently.
Right.
He was in Gen V, or is still currently, I think, Gen V, White Lotus. He was in The Staircase, that movie a couple years ago.
I forgot he was in White Lotus.
Yeah, so he was up there, not big on my radar, but he was like the 4th suggestion when I typed in Patrick to Google. Just a couple of NFL guys, Patrick Peterson, Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, I thought about them too, but it's just
they're probably,
unless you're
probably
a football fan, you're not gonna
NFL
know them.
Guys,
yeah, that's kind of why I left Pat Fitzgerald off my list.
Yeah. I also had Freiermuth for the same reason. He's just like a current player that is a Patrick. Pat Boone, who's like a singer-songwriter from like the 50s. He was like toe-to-toe with Elvis there for a hot minute.
Yep.
My baseball player was Pat Burrell. Pat the Bat.
Oh, Pat Burrell. Yeah. Oh, my God. I can't believe I forgot about him.
Former Phillies outfielder.
Man.
I didn't realize he's the Giants hitting coach right now.
Yeah, I can't believe, I feel like I've let down the baseball community.
Yeah. Pat the Bat.
Oh man, Pat Burrell was so good, dude.
Yeah.
He was so fun to watch. Well, not really, because he was kind of boring, but like,
yeah, just like kind of a big white guy.
Yeah, but like he was so good. Kind of like Jeff Kent.
Yeah.
Or like Troy Gloss.
Like he's just
somehow
he's just there. He's just doing like, well always.
Just these corner infielders that are just like randomly good, and it's like, why are you good? Like David Eckstein.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love baseball so much. If you can't tell, I love it. Yeah. Oh my god.
I had Pat Garrett, who's like an Old West lawman.
Okay.
He's famous for killing Billy the Kid.
There you go.
And then Pat Monahan, who's the lead singer of Train.
Mm-hmm. Isn't John Wayne's son named Pat?
I don't know.
I thought I saw that.
Pat Wayne?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Is he famous himself?
I thought he was like an actor, but he like.
This looks like it. He looks like a guy that'd be in westerns. He's an American actor. Yep, second child to John Wayne.
That's what I thought. But I was
Patrick John Morrison.
Remember John Morrison?
Yeah, yes I do. That was the first guy I thought of when I read that. Yeah.
His finishing move was always cool, but it was always like, there's no way in real life that would be a finishing move. Because
what was his?
It was like that weird twisty. He'd be standing facing the turnbuckle, and he would jump, and like the back of his legs would hit the top rope, and he'd do this like back twisty weird flip onto his opponent, but like he always overshot it. So it was like his arm was like the only thing that hit it, but it was always his finishing move, and it would always get the pin.
Yeah,
and it's like
it was one of those. It's just flashy, like that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not actually.
Yeah,
and it clearly doesn't really look.
Yeah,
damage, like it's gonna do any real damage to anybody. Yeah. It just looks cool.
You're just like, you wish you were Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Or like I always like the ones where essentially they're just jumping off the turnbuckle, the top turnbuckle, and landing on the opponent, and that's it. That's really all they're doing. That's all the impact that's being made. But they're doing some kind of weird twist in the air. It's like that adds nothing other than flash.
Yeah.
Like how is that a finishing move? You could just stand on the turnbuckle and go elbow drop. It's like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like was it Evan Bourne? Is that his name? Mm-hmm. Evan Bourne?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not Jason Bourne. He would
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
Is he the one that did like a backflip?
Yeah,
it was like airborne or something like that.
It was a shooting star press.
Yeah, that was another one. Like you don't have to do the backflip. It doesn't do anything.
No.
It doesn't add anything to the thing. It just
cool
looks
looking.
cool.
Yeah.
That was another one where he would miss a lot, where like just his legs would hit or something like that. But yeah.
I think the coolest thing was when he was in a match against Randy Orton, and he went up to do the
he did the RKO in the middle of it.
Oh, he hit the RKO in the middle of a shooting star press. Oh my god, it was like perfect timing. It was fucking killed it. I was like, oh my god.
That was good. You don't often think about Evan Bourne's role in that situation.
I know.
Or like the timing that he's got to have too, where he's got to just like have his head available.
Speaking
for the RKO.
Speaking of wrestling, I know we're off our tangent here.
Yeah, that's fine. We got Pat Patterson. He's still involved.
John Cena turned heel.
I saw that, yeah.
He's a bad guy. He kicked Cody Rhodes in the balls. He kicked him straight in the ball sack. And Travis Scott was just randomly there.
Travis Scott. Have we gotten like any kind of explanation? Like he just like felt like being a bad guy now for the first time in his career?
Okay, so the whole thing...
Since he was a rapper?
The whole thing was a couple weeks ago, Rock showed up on SmackDown, right? And he confronted Cody because they had a big feud last year with him and Roman and the Bloodline and all that. And what he did this time was like, so WWE's run by like TKO now, and they kind of have a merger with UFC. The TKO runs UFC, WWE, everything, right? Well, Rock is on the board, so they use that as a part of the storyline a lot. And The Rock came out and said, I'm part of the board and I want that. And he pointed at the title and he's like, I don't want the title. I want your soul. He basically was like, I can give you things you never thought were possible to have as a corporate. Basically wanted him to be his corporate champion. They wanted to be the people's champion, right?
Yeah.
So the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view was 2 weeks ago. And he confronted him at the end of the pay-per-view because John Cena won the Elimination Chamber to face Cody at WrestleMania, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good clean fight between two baby faces." And then The Rock came out, and he was like, "I need your answer," and Cody was like, hem haw, and he's like, "Rock, go fuck yourself." He literally said that. They didn't bleep it out, which was fucking cool. Yeah. He's like, "Go fuck yourself." And John Cena was like hyping it up, yeah. And then he like dapped Cody up and hugged him. And then he looked at The Rock. And then The Rock did some over the top dramatic like cutthroating thing. Why do you have to be over dramatic about that?
Yeah.
And Cena just like had his dead look on his face. Just McAfee kicked him straight in the ball sack and then beat the shit out of him, dude.
Jeez.
And like Cody was bleeding, and then of course Travis Scott had to be involved, and like Travis Scott, the rapper, doesn't know how to throw worked punches, and hit him so hard, fucked up his head, like gave him like a black eye and shit.
Oh shit, jeez.
I mean, it makes it look good for the story, obviously, but it's like maybe don't have a rapper that has no idea what the fuck he's doing, fake punching a guy.
Yeah. It's probably one
because
of those things
he punched a guy.
Yeah, I wonder if it's one of those things where Cody says, "Hit me for real," because it's not going to look right if you don't.
Probably.
Because you don't know what you're doing.
Probably.
So just hit me.
Probably, yeah, probably.
And you're probably not going to throw a punch well enough to really do any serious damage.
Well, he showed up on SmackDown the next week, and my God, he had a legit black eye. It was crazy.
Jeez. I didn't know it was that crazy.
Yeah.
It's always fun when you get like that one F-bomb that gets leaked in when they like to save it for like save it for the right occasion. Like, yeah.
Well, AEW did that because Edge and Christian are on AEW right now.
Oh yeah.
And when Edge first came to AEW, like Christian was a big time bad guy, and Edge came in and was like, "Hey, why are you doing it? Basically, why are you doing all this? Let's reunite. Let's have one more run together." And Christian was like, pretending that, he was like, "Oh yeah, okay," and they hugged each other, and then he brought the mic, he's like, "Go fuck yourself," and they didn't bleep it out, and I was like, "Oh my God, what the hell?" Man, like
oh wow. All right, so do you want to talk about Pat Patterson while we're on wrestling?
Yeah,
we might as well get that one in here.
I mean, I wouldn't consider him a sure thing right now, but he is basically the reason the Royal Rumble exists.
Yeah, I read that he's credited with basically creating the Royal Rumble.
He
was the first Intercontinental Champion.
Right. But the thing going against him is like, do you really know who he is if you're not a wrestling fan?
Yeah, probably not.
Right. So
you got to be like a real wrestling fan, even.
Yeah,
or just somebody who was a fan, like a 40-year-old who was a fan when they were a kid or something like that. You got to be. It's a pretty niche market, I guess, for Pat Patterson's out there.
He was one of the first ones I thought of, but that's only because of that reason.
Yeah, exactly.
My best friend growing up, we watched. He had
all the old
videos
and everything,
pay-per-views taped from his dad, and I fell in love. And so that's really what he has going against him. But the Royal Rumble is a big deal.
It is a pretty big deal. His contributions to wrestling as a sport. Or a sports entertainment, is that what they call it still?
No, they don't really call it. They've really... Okay, so they're not afraid to call it wrestling, but they're also... They give it more of a sports feel to it. Their production is more sports-like. Okay, so when you're watching an NFL game and they'll show players walking in? Well, they do that in wrestling now. At the beginning of the shows, they'll show the wrestlers walking in or whatever, and you can tell it's clearly staged, but whatever, it's kind of cool. But they have steady cams that they'll follow the wrestler pulling into the parking lot, walking all the way through backstage into their entrance and everything. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool. It's more of a sports production kind of feel. And it makes it feel like wrestling is a sport.
Yeah,
instead of
like
a staged show. Yeah.
Production.
Yeah. Right.
I got you.
They make it feel actually cool to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's probably a good call. I think that's kind of the image they've had, at least the whole time. Basically, all of my youth, wrestling was kind of a joke. You could be a fan when you're a kid, but then you get to be like 12, and you're like, oh, that's lame.
Well, and with UFC being on the, them being kind of together, they're kind of
borrowing stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
They're doing a good job about making things feel more real, if that makes sense, and not such not so many corny manufactured storylines. Like there's a big CM Punk Seth Rollins feud going. And they actually have real life beef. Like they actually do not like each other because when CM Punk left the first time, he talked so much shit about WWE. And Rollins was like carrying WWE at that point, and he took offense to that. And they don't like each other. And they've used that when he came back. They've been using that their whole feud. And they use a lot of real life situations for that now. And it feels, even though it's obviously it's still staged and a lot of stuff, wrestling is wrestling. Right? Yeah. That doesn't change. But it still feels more real than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And I'm a 34-year-old dude. Okay? Like it feels real to me, damn it.
Yeah. I was waiting for the line to come in. Yeah, I feel like that's like a really great feud. You said that's been going on for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. Pretty much since he came back.
Really? Yeah, because I mean, everybody knows CM Punk's a talker. He's like great on the mic, and Rollins is right up there with him. They're like toe to toe as far as guys who can cut a promo and talk to each other on the mics and stuff. So it's got to be like a really entertaining.
Have you
feud. Anyway, so I guess while we're still on the wrestling thing, we got McAfee here. I guess originally was known as a football guy, but now he's just a personality. A talker.
Yeah,
like, he's just a guy that talks into a microphone for a living.
He's a tough one because I go back and forth on liking him or not.
Yeah, I know. He's one of those guys. He's definitely, he brings some a good entertaining value to a lot of things, but he's also like a little much sometimes.
And I think he's a little much on purpose. He's just
he's starting like his whole, that's his shtick.
He's starting to turn into one of those screaming ESPN guys.
Yeah,
and
that's his whole gimmick. He's like hot take guy.
He does do some things. It's like, I don't know. Maybe don't have Aaron Rodgers on your show every fucking day.
I know.
Come on,
really?
Man.
This is the guy. This is the guy you're gonna have on. This is your recurring guest. He's a lot, and it's like that's his character.
But he's
a little much.
But he is a big deal.
But he's everywhere too. Like he's doing NFL. He's doing college football. He's
back in WWE right now.
WWE every week.
He's doing Raw.
He's on Raw, right?
Yeah.
He's a big dude. You're seeing clips of his show. The Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
Everywhere. You're seeing that all over the place. Clips of it playing on ESPN and things.
I'm going to mark him as a follow-up. I think he's a pretty good consideration there. Yeah. But let's get the surefires out of the way.
Yeah. While we're on this wrestling train,
okay.
The world's strongest man, Mark Henry.
Okay.
Not at all related, but we're going to bring up Mark. I said his name again. It's not Mark Henry. It's Patrick Henry.
Okay.
Let's go to Patrick Henry. He was one of your nominees. He was not mine.
Okay.
He was close. Founding father. He's got one of the most iconic lines.
I was just going to say.
One of the most iconic lines probably in the history of the United States.
Of course.
Actually predates the United States. Give me liberty or give me death.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the rest of it, but that's what he said.
But I got to look it up. But did he own people? Because if he did.
I don't know. A lot of them did. A lot of them didn't.
Because if he did, I can't, in good conscience.
Yeah, I can't remember what state he was from. The southern colonies, There you go. But I don't know. I'm not sure where Patrick Henry was from. Was he a Massachusetts a masshole? What do you call somebody from Massachusetts? A Massachusettsan? I have no idea.
See,
the masshole.
This is what I don't understand about this time. It's like he was against slavery, from what I'm reading. He was against slavery, but he still did own slaves.
A lot of them were like inherited, and the belief, quote unquote, was that they were better off as slaves than just saying like you're free now, like good luck, because they're all of the racism and everything of the day, and like you might have just been, if I release you, you're just going to be captured by somebody else and be put into slavery anyway, so I might as well just keep you here and treat you well. I think that was kind of the justification for a lot of those guys, because there actually were a lot of founding fathers that were probably in a similar situation. A lot of those early guys where they're like, I'm against slavery, but like, man, you're probably better off with me doing my slavery stuff. I'm not going to pay you, but But you're better off here getting, like maybe at least one meal a day. Probably not too many benefits, but, better than the neighbor who doesn't support what I support. Anyway, we're getting a little in the weeds there, but yeah, probably a knock. It's also, at this point in history, he's that's about the only thing he's really known for is that line, that give me liberty or give me death. It's a big one.
I don't know, man. I don't care if you're a founding father. Owning people is never cool. That's not cool, man.
Yeah, no.
Carlito wouldn't be cool with you.
You shouldn't have had him in the first place with any kind of conflict of whether to get rid of him or not.
That does draw an interesting of.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start that
brain.
That does pose an interesting dilemma.
Yeah,
because it's like, do you own them because of the belief you'll keep them safe, or do you release them with the belief that they're probably going to get captured by somebody else, and maybe you're responsible for their capture / treatment, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dilemma because it's like, would I feel good about that? I think I would rather not have people that I own and live with the consequences.
Yeah, especially if you're like outspoken against slavery. But I guess I don't think we should have slavery, but also, I'm in a minority in that case. So all my neighbors are going to be like, how'd you guys get out? Like they're not going to think the way I do, so they're going to be very confused when there's.
How did you guys get out?
Like it sounds bad to say it that way, but I mean honestly, that's probably what they would think, and then they're just going to like round them up and say, get back to where you were. Again, I'm on the same page. Not a great justification,
right?
But
we can follow up on that. We gotta move along. We can follow up on that one, but like. Do you want to get to short things?
Yeah, let's get our short things.
I'm saying Patrick Stewart, obviously.
Yeah, just an absolute legend. We don't even have to talk about him.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart. Yeah, Jean-Luc Picard, Professor X. That's all you really got to say.
Yeah.
We got, currently, Mahomes. He's like the face of the NFL right now.
Yeah, I was going to say either him or Swayze.
Swayze's close for me, too.
I mean, I'm okay with putting Mahomes as a sure thing.
I think he is. When I typed Patrick space, it was Mahomes and like Mahomes and then Mahomes' wife and then like Mahomes something else, Mahomes' child. I don't know, something like that. It's like 7 Mahomes before I got to Swayze. So I think he's a pretty solid sure thing there. I think Patrick Starr is a sure thing for me. It sounds goofy to say that. If without any kind of context, if you hear Patrick, I feel like even people that don't even know what SpongeBob is.
My brain did go to Patrick Starr immediately. It really did. And you were more of a SpongeBob guy than me.
Yeah.
And my first thought goes to, hello, Krusty Krab. No, this is Patrick.
No,
like,
this is Patrick.
Yeah.
I'm not a Krusty Krab. When you just think Patrick without any kind of context at all, he's just Patrick. A lot of people don't even know his last name is Starr. It's just Patrick.
Is it 2 R's?
No, I think it's just 1.
Is it? I thought it was 2.
Yeah, he's cousin of Ringo.
Literally doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but...
no, I think it's just 1. I think he'd be my third sure thing.
Okay.
If I were a betting man.
Okay. I mean, Swayze.
Yeah, Swayze's another one. He's an absolute legend too.
Ghost, Roadhouse. You have Dirty Dancing.
The other 80s dancing movie.
Yeah.
What I love about Footloose, real quick side note, it might be when we're introduced to him. It might be like the second scene, but it's when he's first going to high school. He's driving up. I think he's driving a Beetle, like an old beat up VW Beetle, and he's listening to "Bang Your Head" by Quiet Riot. I just love that. Like, it's not really like part of the movie. You just hear it on the radio, so it's like kind of from a distance as he's pulling it. Bang your head, like, yeah, let's go. Anyway, that was a real tangent there. But were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, other than those big 3 movies, like...
Yeah, just an absolute heartthrob. He was probably, like, number 1 on a lot of women's lists there for
I can't think...
2 decades,
like, off the
maybe.
top of my head, I can't think of any other movies he was in. I know he was in a lot.
Those are the 3 big ones. Yeah.
I know he's in a lot. I mean, those are some pretty big ones. Those are pretty big 3.
And he was one of those guys where, like, he was almost bigger than the movies he was in, especially with Dirty Dancing, he became such a huge. Oh, he was in Red Dawn. He was the older brother in Red Dawn. I just remember.
Oh yeah,
one.
Red Dawn. He was in. Yeah.
So yeah, he's another one super close. He's probably he's just a half step away from a sure thing, but he's definitely up there, I think. But how do you feel about Sajak? Pat the Bat Sajak. Ryan, pretty good.
Wheel of Fortune is one of the obviously probably top 3 game shows of all time.
Yeah,
3, top 3.
What was it? He's like the longest tenured game show host of all time. Like he surpassed Bob Barker a few years ago. I think he hosted for 41 years or something like that. Absolute legend. Everybody knows the game. It's on every night. It's America's game. I don't know if it's more popular than Jeopardy right now.
I think it is now since Trebek isn't there.
Oh yeah, probably. Jeopardy probably took a hit numbers wise, but I feel like Wheel of Fortune was always just a little bit more popular anyway.
Yeah.
One, it's on earlier. It has a little broader of an audience that can play along to it because the questions aren't quite as, or the puzzles are a lot easier than a lot of the questions on Jeopardy. So I think it's probably the number one game show right now.
Mm-hmm. He's in consideration. Man, I don't know. He's got tough.
If we were ranking Pats, no doubt.
Yeah.
But Patrick's as a whole, I don't know. That's a tough one. Did you know he was like a weatherman before he was host of Wheel of Fortune? That's crazy. I have Morita on there. Pat Morita. He's another one. I don't know that a lot of people know his name.
If he wasn't Mr. Miyagi, he's
Mr.
Miyagi.
Anybody, He was in. He was a recurring character on Happy Days. He was a recurring character on MASH.
But when you think of those shows, you don't think of him. You know what I mean? And
it's one of those things. Yeah, you got to be a MASH fan to recognize him, recognize that character. You got to know him. But he's really Mr. Miyagi. Super iconic character.
All right, I'm gonna make
I don't think he's quite got the mustard.
I'll make the argument for Patrick Dempsey, Mr. McDreamy here.
Okay. Does it have anything to do with Thanksgiving?
It has a little bit to do with that.
Okay.
But it has a lot of bit to do with the fact that he's McDreamy. Okay. I gotta admit something. Okay. It's my guilty pleasure.
You sounded real quick. Sorry. You sounded like you ever watch Lethal Weapon 2?
No.
It's got who's the guy? Dang it. Shoot. Goodfellas. No? Short guy.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Damn it.
What the hell's his name?
Dang it. It's a very Italian name. Anyway, but he's in it, but he says that all that's like his it's like his catchphrase almost, I guess, is he's just like, okay. He just says okay 40 times in a row. But he's like a side or like a secondary character.
Why can't I not think of his name?
A supporting character, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. He's pretty funny in that one. Are you looking it up?
Well, if my internet would work.
Oh, yeah, that is a problem. It's not Al Pacino. It's not Robert De Niro. It's Boppity Boopy. Crap. God, I hate my freaking brain. I'm terrible with names. It's the worst. Anyway, none of that's relevant. Do you want to continue with Patrick Dempsey?
Yes. All right, so lately my guilty pleasure has been Grey's Anatomy. I'm not even gonna. It's a good show. I don't care.
Yeah.
You can say what you want about me. It's a fucking good show.
I mean, there's a reason it was on for however many fucking years.
It's still on. It's still.
Is it still currently running?
They just renewed it for a 22nd season.
Oh God, I thought it was over. I thought they ended it. Wow. Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason it's been running that long, and it's had all kinds of cast turnover, and people are still just eating it up.
Granted, he's been gone for half the season.
Did they kill him off? Is he dead?
Yeah. I think my major beef with that show is whenever somebody's leaving the show or they're writing them off, they just gotta kill him.
Yeah.
It's there's plenty of ways to write people off without killing them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why is so many people dying in a hospital show?
Yeah, and the doctors. It's not like a regular at the hospital. Right. No, it's why are the doctors all dying?
Yeah.
This is so weird.
It's a hospital in Seattle. Oh, okay. You're moving to New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy.
I got a job at a different hospital. Boom, done.
I'm going to Boston University, I'm going to Harvard or something. Okay, bye.
I'm going to go teach.
Have fun.
Cool. Fine.
But
you could make it dramatic. Say they had like some kind of traumatic accident or something, and they just like, oh, I lost it. I lost my touch.
Yeah, like
they're a surgeon. Oh, my hands are shaking. I don't know, something.
Right. And anyways, it's a similar argument with Pat Patterson. Mm-hmm. Unless you're a fan of the show, I don't think you're really going to know who Patrick Dempsey is.
He's definitely more well known than Pat Patterson.
Sure.
But I know Patrick Dempsey, and I know the name, and like I said, I've never watched.
Right,
Grey's.
But it's the point of the argument. I'm not saying they're the same. I think he has more of a reach than Pat Patterson, more of a demographic, but still like I don't know.
But I think he's well known enough outside of that fandom. Is what I'm saying. Like pretty much only wrestling fans are gonna know Pat Patterson, whereas Dempsey, I think. People know McDreamy because he was talked about on like the news because of something that happened on Grey's. The show was so popular they would talk about things that happened on like Entertainment Tonight or whatever.
And he's a good fucking actor. I'm surprised he's not bigger than he is. Like
it's one of those things. I think that character got so big.
He got typecast. As
now if you see him in anything, it's just there's McDreamy in a movie. The whole thing with Thanksgiving is like, here's McDreamy. Obviously, he's going to be the hero or something. And like, oh, shit, no, he's the psycho that's killing everybody.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, sorry.
And he's so good in that movie. But he's just a good actor. He's
like the only good actor in a bad movie. But we hashed this all out yesterday.
I take exception to you calling that a bad movie, but whatever.
A poorly acted movie is what I mean. Overall, the movie's pretty good. I think it's pretty well made, but the acting overall is not great. But he's pretty good. He's not as much of a long shot, I think, as what you're thinking.
Oh, I don't really think he's a long shot.
I'd almost put him over Sajak just because. Because of the Patrick part.
I would too, but like, I guess I was trying to make an unbiased argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the only other guy we haven't really talked about yet is Patrick Tillman or Pat Tillman. He's almost like an honorary nominee. Kind of a similar situation where like football fans absolutely know who Pat Tillman is.
And would you know him if he wasn't killed in combat?
Yeah, no. But I mean, that's still fame.
It is. And and the story behind it, the conspiracy behind it, was it from the fire or whatever? But
it was kind of covered up and
and
kept quiet at least.
And it's tough. Yeah, it's like
it's again, if you're a football fan, like a diehard football fan, especially NFL fan, you know who Pat Tillman is because they talk about him all the time. So everybody kind of knows that story. It was a huge story when it happened.
Yeah.
All the cover-up stuff that came out later, it just keeps becoming a big story. And, so it's super well known within that community, fandom.
I guess my argument would be if you go up to any non-football fan and you say, hey, do you know who Mahomes is, or do you know who Tillman is?
Yeah,
they're gonna know.
It's no question.
They're more likely gonna know who Pat Mahomes is than Patrick Tillman.
Easily, yeah. Just about anybody on this list, except for maybe Pat Morita or Patterson. It was probably the only two that he might be more popular than those two, I guess. But yeah, within the NFL community, for definitely sure. Probably a top 5 guy, but not quite in the full list. All right, so let's narrow down who we got here. We got Patrick Starr, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Stewart, Patrick Swayze is close, Patrick Dempsey is close. Patrick Henry, I think we're getting rid of because he was a slave owner, so fuck him. Yep. Even though he was, instrumental in the founding of our country.
You can't play the moral...
But so was slavery, so we don't like that either.
You can't play the moral high ground, but then also be under that high ground at the same time.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
You're right.
I forgot about McAfee too. So Sajak, McAfee, Dempsey, Swayze, I think are the 4 that we're really...
I really think it comes down to McAfee and Dempsey because we have Stewart, Mahomes, and Starr in, right?
Yeah.
So it comes down to Swayze, Dempsey, and McAfee.
Yeah, I don't think Sajak quite has it.
So yeah, we have to pick 2 out of Patrick Swayze, Dempsey, and Pat McAfee. I'm putting Swayze in.
I think Swayze takes it over those 2 for sure.
So it really comes down to Patrick Dempsey and Pat McAfee.
Man,
that's a hard one.
That's a tough one. Because, and it's almost like 2 sides of the spectrum here. It's
completely opposite.
If it's just basically like anybody who's not like a big sports fan versus anybody who's a big sports fan, and I guess we're kind of in the middle. So I don't know. It's hard to decide because we're kind of fans of both sides of that coin. So it's you'd think
okay.
that would make it easier because we're in the middle, so we can kind of see both sides.
Yeah, but I'm leaning Dempsey because we've talked about Thanksgiving before. This has been before I've been watching Grey's Anatomy, right?
Yeah.
First thing I said was, "Oh, that's McDreamy." I knew who that was. I knew that was McDreamy, right?
That is true. If you know a guy just by his nickname.
Obviously, I know McAfee, right? But I am a sports guy, and I feel like if, I don't know, somebody that's not into sports, I don't know if they're going to know. I don't know if they're going to see McAfee and be like, oh, that's that guy.
Yeah.
Whereas me, a non-Grey's Anatomy fan at that time, was like, oh, that's McDreamy, just because it was so fucking popular. It was just all over the place.
Here's the thing, though. Our mom watched Grey's. We know people that watched Grey's.
True.
They know him as McDreamy. They refer to him as McDreamy.
True.
If it was the other way around, where you're somebody who does not care about football at all, but you're in a family, like ours, where we talk about football all the time, we know who McAfee is. If he pops up on screen, even if you don't give a flying F about football, but Pat McAfee's on your TV every other hour, and you talk about, here's McAfee again. Do you think you'd recognize him then if it was like a similar situation where you have no interest in it, but everybody else is talking about it? Would you recognize him?
I guess my counter would be, I think I would, because he was referred to as McDreamy on like every news outlet or every morning show, every interview, I know at least me, I've seen those interviews. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think even if our mom or other people that we knew didn't watch it, I still think I would know that was McDreamy.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit broader of a scope.
Yeah.
The kind of like entertainment sphere versus the sports sphere.
Honestly, maybe if we were doing this episode in 2-3 years, maybe it's McAfee, but I just think
couple more years.
But okay, because Dempsey's been off the show for like 11, 12
That's a good
seasons.
point too. Yeah.
And you still, when you hear Grey's Anatomy, you think of
he's
either
one of the first ones.
It's either him or Meredith.
Yeah.
Those are the two people you think of. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he has left such a lasting impact from that show on pop culture.
Yeah.
Even.
And the name McDreamy is super iconic.
Yeah. And I think McAfee is just famous for being loud.
Yeah.
Mostly.
He's famous for being on everything.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a panel of people that talking about a sport, McAfee's there.
Yeah.
And I feel like in, 10 years, 20 years, I don't think we're going to be talking about McAfee like he's John Madden or Pat Summerall or something like we talked about earlier. I don't think he's going to have that kind of a legacy. He's going to be somebody that people know the name, but they're not going to be like, oh man, remember when Pat McAfee had this like iconic moment where he was calling this football game? It's like, no, I don't think anybody's really going to care about McAfee that much.
Right. So
not like he's a legendary figure like some of the guys we talk about now. He's not going to be Al Michaels in 20 years. He's going to be just a guy everybody kind of knew there for a 10-year span when he had his peak. Unlike Grey's Anatomy, that show's going to live on for decades. That show's say the MASH of the 21st century.
Yeah, so like they just renewed it or whatever. Let's say this is the last season. Mm-hmm. All right, they're canceling the show. 10 years later, if somebody comes up to a non-watcher and be like, hey, remember the show Grey's Anatomy? 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, oh, isn't that the one with McDreamy? You know what I mean? So I think that's what gives him the edge in this one.
Does it hurt him at all? Words. We've been doing this too long. Mm-hmm. Does it hurt him at all that a lot of times he's almost known more as McDreamy by itself, not so much the Patrick Dempsey part?
Maybe a little, but I don't think enough to knock him off this list.
I just happen to think of that because we keep talking about the McDreamy aspect.
Because that's what he's known for, but his name is still
it is Patrick.
His name is still Patrick Dempsey.
I feel like and it's a pretty recognizable name. It's not like Pat Morita where like, oh, it's Mr. Miyagi or it's whatever his character on MASH or something. I think it's still a pretty recognizable name, even if if he is probably more known as McDreamy or the guy from Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
The fact that Grey's Anatomy is probably the biggest show of the 21st century, maybe, and the fact that he and the lead character are the two faces you think of when you think of the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you there. So what do we end up with? We got Patrick Starr, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Swayze, Patrick Stewart, and
Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey, the one we were just spent half an hour talking about. Yeah, I think that's a solid list.
That's a good list.
It's literally the top 5. We could have stopped.
It really sucks.
We could have stopped 5. It was the first 5 that I listed.
It sucks leaving McAfee off, but that's okay.
Yeah, he can take it.
He can go bitch about it with Aaron Rodgers.
He can live without being on one like panel of people here. Like he's got 5 others he can be on for the rest of his life.
Right.
To talk about every other sport.
Yeah.
Except for baseball for some reason. Yeah, so that's a good list. I'm good with it.
I'm good with it. Yep.
Cool.
Ding, ding. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah. That's a different one.
You did that in one episode. I just stole that from you. I'm sorry.
All right, that's the show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as Pat McAfee loves standing behind a desk and yelling into the camera. And you can pay that love forward by sharing this podcast with your friends and family and your wrestling fans out there. We sure talked about that a whole bunch.
Yes, we did.
Any Patricks in your family? The Irish, that's appropriate for them, I guess. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts now, wherever you get podcasts. So don't forget to subscribe on your platform of choice. So we probably aren't going to miss an episode either, but so you never miss an episode. And you can give us a rating and leave a review. It really helps us get seen out there. The best way to spread the word is just telling somebody you know. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Just let them know. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Give them a little pinch for not wearing green. Hey, by the way, listen to this podcast. You can like us on Facebook and follow us at CCWisePod on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. We'll put something on there at some point. And Twitter, you can follow me on just about everything at Tyler_W. Where can everybody find you out there?
You can find me on Twitter at BWise23. I am on Instagram at NotTheFakeBW. And then you can also follow me on TikTok at NotTheFakeBrandonWise. So join us in a couple weeks. We'll have a new episode of Counterclockwise for you.
And stay Brolden. Snorting blow over here. Gotta get both sides going.
And you haven't decided to share?
I mean, it's expensive.
That's fair.
You gotta be stingy.
Yeah, no, today's economy, yeah. You gotta be frugal with your cocaine.
Yeah. Can't put a tariff on that.
It's not even an Ultimate Showdown. We're still bringing up cocaine.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Yeah.